stole from a poor man. By nightfall, he lost everything.
$300 in currency. You understand, young man? Or is your intellect too limited to grasp simple arithmetic? Sergeant Harlan Voss looms over the cart of the black street vendor, his official insignia gleaming brightly. The air, already thick with the pungent aroma of sautéed onions, is now mingled with the cheap scent of his cologne. I understand, sir. I've only recently begun this work. Silence. Keep your mouth shut. Voss thrusts a finger menacingly close to the vendor's face. This permit you possess is utterly worthless. A single phone call and you'll be apprehended. One call to ICE and they'll uncover an infraction. They invariably find something with individuals like yourself. The vendor's dark hands remain steady. He meticulously counts out the bills and extends them in a gesture of silent compliance. Voss snatches the money with evident disdain, then delivers a harsh, condescending pat to the man's cheek. The impact is sharp, an acute sting of humiliation. Good boy. Perhaps you're trainable after all. He ambles back towards his patrol vehicle without a backward glance. Concealed beneath the vendor's apron, a minuscule red light continues its silent blinking, diligently recording the entire interaction. Sergeant Harlan Voss has just engaged in the illegal extortion of an undercover federal marshal. He is entirely unaware of this fact. Downtown Hartfield, Texas, is just beginning to stir to life when Darius Holloway positions his mobile food cart at the intersection of Main and 5th Streets. The rhythmic clatter of the cart's wheels against the fractured pavement underscores the rising summer haze from the asphalt, a clear indication of another oppressively hot day to come. Darius is a black man, 38 years of age, possessing broad shoulders and calloused hands that are testament to a life of manual labor. He is a decorated army veteran, at least that is the narrative he presents. Recently divorced, he is embarking on a new chapter with virtually nothing but his cart and an aspiration. This, of course, is his fabricated persona. He lifts the lid of the stainless steel warmer to check the water level. A cloud of steam billows upwards, enveloping his face. Mustard, relish, and ketchup are arranged in a neat line. Napkins are stacked precisely. Everything is in its designated place, mirroring the discipline he was instilled with. 4 other vendors operate along this stretch of sidewalk. They have been present for a considerable duration, possessing knowledge that Darius is still in the process of acquiring. Rosa Delgado, a 62-year-old Mexican-American woman with silver hair pulled back tightly, sets up her taco cart approximately 30 feet to the south. She has occupied this particular corner for 11 years. She approaches, carrying 2 cups of coffee, and offers one to Darius without prompting. "You're the new one," she states, her accent gentle and warm. "Be cautious around here." Darius accepts the cup. "Cautious of what?" Rosa's dark eyes subtly flick towards the street. A patrol car proceeds past, moving at a leisurely pace, its movement deliberate, akin to a shark in search of prey. She observes it until it recedes from view around the bend. "Just be careful." She returns to her cart without further comment, her hands exhibiting a slight tremor. Across the street, Jamal Reeves meticulously arranges fruit on his wooden stand. He is 28 years old, black, and consistently keeps his gaze lowered whenever law enforcement vehicles pass. He deliberately avoids making eye contact with any uniformed officers. Then there is Clarence Whitaker, a 71-year-old black Korean war veteran, his forearms adorned with faded tattoos. His pretzel cart has been a fixture on this corner for an impressive 34 years. His hands now tremble when he handles change, a tremor not solely attributable to age. Clarence catches Darius's eye and offers a subtle wave. It is a small gesture, an unspoken acknowledgement exchanged between 2 black men on a street corner, recognizing each other's existence in a city that frequently chooses to ignore them. Darius reciprocates the wave. The morning unfolds uneventfully. Sales are satisfactory. A few regular patrons are beginning to learn his name. Tourists, who offer no gratuity, pass through. A businessman orders 2 hot dogs and compulsively checks his phone between each bite. Nothing deviates from the expected. Rosa stops by once more. She places a weathered hand on her chest. My heart isn't as robust as it once was, she confides. My doctor has advised me to retire, but how does one retire from a taco cart? Darius offers a reassuring smile. You'll outlast us all, Rosa. She emits a laugh, but it fails to reach her eyes, suggesting a deeper, underlying sorrow. A black, unmarked Crown Victoria then pulls up and parks in a clearly designated no parking zone directly in front of Darius's cart. The engine idles for a brief interval before being switched off. Rosa notices it first. A wave of apprehension washes over her, draining the color from her face as if the warmth were seeping away through her fingertips. She turns her back, feigning an activity of organizing her supplies. Jamal, with sudden fascination, becomes engrossed in examining his shoelaces. Clarence Whitaker stares straight ahead, his gaze unfocused, his jaw set in a tight line. His hands tremble with even greater intensity than before. The driver's side door opens with a pronounced click. A man emerges. He's white, in his mid-40s, dressed in a crisp uniform, the fabric impeccably pressed. His badge gleams. His hand rests on his citation book as if it were a weapon. He does not hasten his movements. He walks with an air of proprietorship, as though he commands dominion over every inch of this street, and Darius Holloway's carefully orchestrated day is poised to abruptly conclude. Sergeant Harlan Voss traverses the street with an unhurried gait, as if he possesses an abundance of time. He is 44 years old with 18 years of service on the Hartfield Police Department, a white man whose facial features suggest an absence of any inclination towards smiling. The initial approach is devoid of any overt aggression. His boots strike the pavement with the deliberate weight of a man accustomed to never being challenged. He halts at Darius's cart, encroaching too closely, intruding upon the designated customer space, a zone where strangers are not permitted to linger. "You're new," he states, not as a question, but as a definitive assertion. Darius keeps his hands visible, resting on the cart. "I started not long ago, sir." Voss's gaze slowly scans the permits affixed to the side of the cart. The health inspection sticker, the business license. He scrutinizes each document as if actively seeking a justification for their revocation. "Nice little setup," he remarks, his voice devoid of inflection. "Do you understand how things operate around here yet?" "I sell hot dogs. People pay. That's how it works." Voss offers a smile, a chillingly empty expression. "That's a part of it. But there's another component that no one volunteers to inform you about. A fee for the license, $300 monthly. Cash ensures that everything proceeds smoothly." Darius's expression remains unchanged. $300? And what precisely does that payment cover? Voss tilts his head, examining Darius with the detached scrutiny of a feline observing a mouse. "It covers a multitude of things. Health inspections that conveniently overlook deficiencies, permits that somehow avoid getting misplaced, parking enforcement that conspicuously ignores your cart's obstruction of the sidewalk." He advances closer, reaching a proximity where Darius can detect the aroma of coffee on his breath. "And for individuals such as yourself, it guarantees that questions remain unasked. Immigration checks that never materialize. Background investigations that refrain from delving too deeply. I was born in El Paso, a fourth-generation American." "Indeed you were, boy." Voss shrugs dismissively. "They all claim that, right up until the paperwork conveniently vanishes." He allows the implied threat to permeate the atmosphere. $300. Do not compel me to seek you out, because if I am forced to conduct a search, the price escalates, and if I have to search a second time... He leans in conspiratorially. "Individuals who necessitate a second search often find themselves in a medical facility or worse. Do you comprehend my meaning?" Darius reaches into his cash box. His hands exhibit a subtle tremor, just enough for Voss to perceive and register a sense of satisfaction. He counts out the currency and presents it. Voss snatches the money without bothering to verify the amount. He folds the bills and tucks them into his pocket as if they were rightfully his all along. He then delivers another hard pat to Darius's cheek. "Perhaps you are trainable after all, much like a canine." He turns to depart, then pauses. One final matter. The other vendors, Rosa, old Clarence, the young fellow with the fruit, they have been here for some time. They are aware of the established protocols. They keep their heads down and their mouths shut. His gaze locks onto Darius's. Do not attempt to forge friendships. Do not engage in inquiries. Do not entertain the notion that you are something you are not. Simply vend your hot dogs, remit your fee, and all will remain tranquil. Understood? He walks back to the Crown Victoria, enters the vehicle, and drives away without a backward glance. Darius watches until the car disappears from view. Rosa is still diligently pretending to organize her supplies. Jamal remains engrossed in his footwear. Clarence stares blankly ahead, his jaw rigid. No one speaks. The silence hangs heavy, more oppressive than the sweltering summer heat. Darius discreetly touches a small device, no larger than a button, concealed beneath his apron. A tiny red light blinks once, indicating that it is still actively recording. Every uttered word has been captured. $300 has been lost, taken by a man bearing a badge who made no pretense of concealing his illicit actions. However, something else has been gained, something Voss remains oblivious to. Voss will undoubtedly return. Darius is in the process of constructing a case, and Voss has just provided him with the initial piece of evidence. The Texas sun relentlessly beats down, its heat radiating from the pavement in invisible waves. Darius stands by his cart, steam rising from the food warmer. Sweat trickles down his back beneath his apron. The atmosphere along Main Street has palpably shifted. The vendors communicate in hushed tones. They pack up their operations earlier in the day. Their gazes dart over their shoulders more frequently than they engage with customers. Voss's unmarked Crown Victoria appears at the far end of the block, but today he is not alone. 2 patrol cars follow in his wake. Officers Dwayne Briggs and Kyle Holt disembark, adjusting their utility belts, meticulously checking their equipment. Both are white, both are young, and both wear expressions that betray an eagerness for whatever is about to unfold. They do not approach Darius's cart. Instead, they proceed directly towards Clarence Whitaker. The elderly black man observes their approach from a distance of 30 feet. His weathered hands cease their movement. His dark complexion pales significantly. At 71 years of age, a Korean War veteran with 34 years of tenure on this corner, he now appears as a man acutely aware of the impending events. Voss approaches the pretzel cart, with Briggs and Holt flanking him. 3 white police officers surround a single elderly black vendor, Clarence. Voss's voice carries across the street, deliberately amplified for all to hear. "We need to discuss your account." Clarence's voice trembles. "I have most of it, Sergeant. My wife's medication incurred higher costs this month. I will have the remainder by the next collection." "You are short $200. That is all." "200, please. I have never—" Voss shoves him forcefully. Clarence stumbles backward, his hip striking the edge of his cart. Pretzels scatter across the sidewalk. He falls heavily, his back impacting the concrete. Voss delivers a kick to his ribs. The sound is sickeningly wet and hollow. Clarence curls into a protective ball, shielding his head and face, blood already beginning to stain his skin. Voss kicks him again. Rosa lets out a piercing scream from her cart. "Stop! He is an old man, please." Voss's head snaps in her direction. "Do you wish to be next?" Rosa's hand flies to her chest, clutching her heart. She retreats, her eyes wide with fear. Tourists proceed along the opposite sidewalk. They witness the entire incident. They continue walking. They offer no assistance. They do not even retrieve their mobile phones. Briggs and Holt stand idly by, arms crossed, their faces illuminated by smiles, as if observing a form of entertainment. Darius's hands grip his cart with such force that his knuckles turn white. Every fiber of his being screams for him to intervene, to halt the brutality. Yet he remains frozen, observing the scene unfold. Much like the other vendors, a fearful vendor who understands his subordinate position because that is precisely what the mission demands. However, witnessing a 71-year-old black man bleed on the sidewalk while white officers mockingly observe, comes at a profound cost, a cost from which there is no recovery. Clarence attempts to rise. Voss plants a boot firmly on his chest, forcing him back down. Stay down, boy. Stay down and contemplate the consequences of failing to meet your obligations. Voss straightens his uniform, wiping his hands on his pants as if he had touched something contaminated. Briggs, place a call. Request medical assistance for a vendor who has sustained an injury from a fall. Holt, take statements. Ensure no one claims to have witnessed anything. Both officers nod in acknowledgement. Voss returns to his vehicle and departs as if the incident had never occurred. Shortly thereafter, an ambulance arrives. Clarence is carefully loaded onto a stretcher. The official report will later state that he fell while moving boxes, but the reality is a fractured rib, a broken cheekbone, and a severe concussion. That evening, the vendors close their operations prematurely. One by one, they disperse. Jamal stops by Darius's cart before departing. His voice is barely audible. Do not. Whatever you are contemplating, do not proceed. I'm not contemplating anything. Good, because thinking can prove fatal for black men in this vicinity. Jamal melts into the fading twilight. Darius packs up his cart, returns to his apartment, and sits in the darkness for an extended period. He then accesses his laptop, creates a new folder designated Evidence, and downloads the video footage from his initial encounter with Voss, specifically the segment where money was extorted. He also downloads the footage capturing the assault. Clarence incapacitated on the ground, blood staining his white apron, Voss's boot connecting with the ribs of an elderly man. A prudent individual would delete these files, relocate to a different city, and erase the entire episode from memory. Darius, however, does not delete a single frame. He saves them, creates redundant backups, and opens a new document commencing the meticulous compilation of names and behavioral patterns. Clarence Whitaker is currently receiving medical attention. 71 years old, a veteran, 34 years on that particular street corner, brutally assaulted in broad daylight for being $200 short. Someone must take action. The elderly man is bleeding. Darius is observing, and Voss continues his relentless collection. Time progresses in a predictable, measured rhythm. Darius spends his days selling hot dogs, offering pleasantries to his customers, engaging in superficial conversations about the weather, and maintaining the facade of normalcy along Main Street. His nights, however, are transformed into a different existence. His apartment is small and sparsely furnished. The kitchen counter is cluttered with notes and photographs. The glow of his laptop casts a blue light across the bare walls as videos play repeatedly. He meticulously studies Voss's countenance, his movements, his vocal inflections, the casual manner in which he pockets currency without even glancing at it, as if accepting tribute were an ingrained birthright. This individual has engaged in such behavior countless times and will undoubtedly continue to do so unless an intervention occurs. Darius begins to covertly record everything. His mobile phone rests in his apron pocket, its camera lens subtly concealed through a small aperture expertly cut with a razor blade. The record button remains perpetually engaged. Voss collects his payment from Rosa, $300. She hands it over, her hands trembling, her breath held until he departs, avoiding any direct eye contact. Darius records every second of this interaction. Voss then collects from a woman on the adjacent block who sells homemade empanadas. She weeps as she counts out the bills. Her hands shake so violently that she drops some of the currency onto the ground. Voss observes her retrieve it without offering any assistance. Darius records this as well. Voss and Briggs conduct their rounds in tandem. In a 90-minute span, they extort payments from 4 vendors, operating with an unsettling efficiency, a chilling professionalism, akin to tax collectors in a dominion governed by fear. Darius visits Clarence Whitaker at Hartfield General Hospital. The elderly man lies in a bed that appears far too large for his diminished frame. His dark face is a canvas of purple and yellow bruises, his eyes swollen, his ribs tightly bandaged. 34 years, Clarence murmurs, each word requiring palpable effort. I never missed a payment, and this is what I receive. Darius holds up his phone. May I record this, Clarence? What happened to you? Clarence regards the phone for a prolonged moment, then shifts his gaze to Darius. Why? Who will listen? Who cares about an old black man on a street corner? Perhaps someone will. After a significant pause, Clarence nods. He recounts his ordeal. The camera captures every detail, his injuries, his words, the quavering voice of a veteran who served his country and was subsequently brutalized for it. Outside the hospital, Darius notices a gray sedan parked across the street. He has observed this vehicle previously, both near his apartment and in the vicinity of Main Street. He discreetly notes the license plate number and continues walking, feigning obliviousness. Back on Main Street, Jamal intercepts Darius near the storage unit. What are you doing, man? Jamal's voice is low and laced with urgency. I've seen you with your phone, always recording. You're going to get yourself killed. Someone has to do something. Jamal shakes his head emphatically. That someone doesn't have to be you. You haven't been here long. You don't understand their capacity for cruelty. I am learning. Then learn this as well. Voss has connections. Within the police department, at City Hall, in places you cannot even imagine. If you create a disturbance, you will simply vanish. A black man asking questions in this town will be found in a ditch, and the circumstances will be officially labeled as suicide. Darius offers no verbal response. Jamal departs without looking back. That evening, Darius meticulously reviews his recorded footage. 6 instances of collection, 3 witness testimonies, hospital records, precise timestamps, badge numbers, sufficient evidence to present to the authorities. But to which authorities? Voss himself is the authority. His superiors offer him protection. Internal Affairs has conducted investigations twice previously, yielding no conclusive findings on either occasion. The system is not flawed. It is functioning precisely as it was designed. Darius requires more substantial proof. Undeniable evidence of Voss explicitly articulating the nature of his criminal enterprise, spoken words that cannot be rationalized or explained away. The gray sedan reappears that night, parked directly opposite Darius's apartment building. It is a silent declaration, conveyed through steel and glass. We are watching you. Darius closes his blinds, meticulously checks his locks, and verifies his backups 3 times over. The oppressive Texas sun beats down once again. Darius wheels his cart to Main Street and begins to set up on his usual corner. Rosa is already present, appearing more weary than usual, her hand frequently drifting to her chest. Voss's visits have undergone a transformation. He's no longer merely collecting funds, he's actively hunting. He lingers at each vendor's cart for an extended period, scrutinizing faces with an unsettling intensity. He poses questions entirely unrelated to permits or fees. Has anyone been speaking with reporters recently? The empanada vendor asks nervously, her eyes fixed on the ground. No, sir, no one. Anyone asking questions? Detectives from other precincts? Federal agents? Anyone who doesn't belong here? No, sir. Nothing of that sort. I simply prepare food. Voss nods slowly, filing away her responses for future reference. His gaze sweeps across the street like a searchlight. He then proceeds to Rosa's cart. You have been here the longest, Rosa. 11 years. You observe everything that transpires on this street. Rosa's eyes remain fixed on her taco shells, her hands never ceasing their movement. I make tacos, Sergeant. That is all I see. Voss leans in, his voice dropping to a tone that is both intimate and menacing. Someone has been asking questions, taking photographs. Someone on this street believes they are more intelligent than I am. If I discover that you possess knowledge and have withheld it, your little taco cart will be transformed into a crime scene. Your grandchildren will grow up wondering what became of their abuela. I know nothing, Sergeant, I swear. Voss studies her expression, then withdraws with a smile that carries no hint of warmth. We shall see. He walks away, but not before muttering to Briggs, audibly enough for Darius to catch fragmented phrases carried on the still air. Someone is engaged in a more significant endeavor. I can sense it. Ascertain their identity. That night, Jamal Reeves's fruit cart is vandalized. Darius witnesses the aftermath the following morning. The wheels are deeply slashed, and the produce is scattered across the sidewalk, resembling the remnants of a battlefield. The word snitch is spray painted on the side in angry red lettering, dripping like fresh blood. Jamal stands before the wreckage, his dark face a mask of shock. Darius assists him in the cleanup, picking crushed apples from the dirty concrete and discarding spoiled bananas into trash bags. "I didn't say anything," Jamal utters, his voice devoid of emotion. "I swear, I didn't speak to anyone. Why would they do this to me?" "It's not about what you did, it's about what Voss fears." He continues tossing a ruined apple. He knows someone is watching, he doesn't know who, so he's sending a message to everyone. "Is it working?" Darius offers no response. A police report is filed. Officer Kyle Holt takes Jamal's statement with palpable disinterest. The investigation yields no results. No suspects are identified, no witnesses come forward, and no justice is served. It is simply another black vendor's property destroyed. Nothing to see here. The following morning, Voss returns to Main Street, but his purpose is not collection today. He's merely present, standing on the corner for hours, observing. His gaze settles on Darius more frequently than on anyone else. Darius feels the weight of that stare each time, recognizing the calculation behind it, the escalating suspicion. He continues selling hot dogs, maintains a neutral expression, and keeps his hands steady, but he is aware that Voss is systematically narrowing down his list, eliminating potential suspects one by one. Soon, only one name will remain. That evening, Darius backs up his files to 3 separate cloud storage services, creating multiple redundancies and fail-safe mechanisms. He sends a single email to an address he has never utilized before. The subject line reads, "Insurance. If anything happens to me, release everything." The gray sedan appears again that night, parked directly across from Darius's apartment building. It is a clear, unspoken threat delivered through the stark reality of steel and glass. "We see you." Darius closes his blinds, checks his locks, and triple-checks his backup systems. The Texas sun beats down with renewed intensity. Darius wheels his cart to Main Street and begins his preparations on his corner. Rosa is already there, her appearance suggesting a greater age than before, her demeanor weary. Her hand repeatedly drifts to her chest. Jamal's usual spot stands vacant. He hasn't returned since the act of destruction. Clarence remains in medical care. The thoroughfare feels diminished now, hushed, desolate. Voss's luxury sedan emerges into view, but this occasion is unlike the others. Voss lingers behind the wheel, observing, a communication device held to his ear, engaged in a conversation Darius cannot decipher. Then, a subtle upturn of Voss's lips precedes him, disconnecting. He exits the vehicle and approaches Darius's mobile eatery. His demeanor today radiates a distinct assurance, reminiscent of someone who has just received profoundly positive tidings. "You've been exceptionally industrious," Voss remarks. Darius's stomach churns, yet his facial expression remains impassive. "I'm uncertain of your meaning, sir." "Oh, I believe you do." Voss casually props himself against the cart, exuding an air of relaxed authority. "Someone has been communicating with journalists, paying visits to hospitals, compiling a dossier of audiovisual recordings and documentation." He pauses, allowing each syllable to resonate. That individual will soon regret not simply selling their wares and remaining silent. He straightens, flicking away non-existent particles from his attire. "Enjoy your weekend, young man." Voss returns to his automobile, enters, and departs. He made no collection today. This circumstance is more ominous, far more so. Should you ever ponder the consequences when an individual from a marginalized community challenges a corrupt establishment, this narrative is merely its inception, and a significant transformation is imminent. One evening, Darius exits his dwelling through the rear egress, his hood drawn, head bowed, moving with haste through the encroaching shadows. He is en route to a rendezvous. A contact who initiated communication through heavily secured channels, professes to possess confidential intelligence concerning Voss's superior, and claims to know the true architect of the protection scheme. The designated meeting location is an unpopulated parking area adjacent to the industrial sector. It is quiet, secluded, away from intrusive observation, ostensibly safe, or so Darius assumes. He arrives. The lot is cloaked in darkness. A solitary lamppost flickers overhead, its dying illumination emitting a low hum. No other vehicles are discernible. He waits, scanning the shadows. Headlights appear at the farthest extremity of the lot. A vehicle approaching with deliberate slowness. It is a van, white, unmarked, devoid of visible license plates. This is a signal of alarm. Every instinct within Darius flares simultaneously. All internal warning systems are activated. He turns to flee. He doesn't manage 3 steps. The side panel of the van slides open with a grating metallic shriek. 2 individuals disembark before the vehicle has fully ceased motion. Briggs and Holt are in pursuit. Briggs intercepts Darius from behind with a forceful tackle. The full impact drives Darius to the ground. His face slams against the asphalt, expelling the air from his lungs in a violent rush. Holt delivers a kick to his ribs before he can regain his bearings. Once, then twice. These are swift, targeted strikes designed for incapacitation. Subsequently, a black sack is pulled over his head. The world vanishes. Zip ties constrict his wrists, biting into his skin. They haul him across the pavement and into the van. Doors slam shut. The engine roars to life. The van begins to move. Darius counts the seconds mentally, attempting to map their trajectory despite the throbbing pain. A left turn. A prolonged straight segment. A right turn. Another extensive stretch. Approximately 20 minutes, perhaps 25. The van halts. Doors open. Rough hands forcibly extract him into the cool night air. Concrete underfoot, the pervasive scent of rust and engine oil, the faint sound of dripping water somewhere in the obscurity. They shove him into a chair, a rigid metal structure cold against his back. The head covering is removed. Darius blinks, his eyes struggling to adjust to the dim illumination. He finds himself in a warehouse, industrial, disused, lacking any windows, with a single discernible exit, exposed piping, and puddles of water on the fractured concrete floor. Standing before him, arms crossed, his expression bordering on weariness, is Sergeant Harlan Voss. "You've been inquiring about a great many matters, young man." Darius's lip is split from his fall. Blood trickles onto his apron. His dark complexion already exhibits swelling where Holt's boot made contact. "I am merely a purveyor of hot dogs." Voss emits a laugh. The sound reverberates off distant walls, hollow and chilling. "Hot dog vendors do not photograph police vehicles, nor do they record conversations, nor do they visit injured elderly individuals in hospitals to solicit their accounts on camera." He elevates Darius's phone. The evidence compilation is visible on the screen. "You've been remarkably active for someone who simply sells hot dogs." Darius remains silent, maintaining a steady rhythm of breathing. Voss circles the chair, his movements slow and deliberate, like a predator assessing its prey. "Who directed you?" "A journalist seeking a story." "Is the FBI employing creative tactics?" "Who?" "No one directed me." "I witnessed your actions toward Clarence Whitaker." "I wish to document it." Voss strikes him, an open-handed blow delivered with sufficient force to snap his head sideways. "Do not deceive me, boy." "Who directed you?" "No one directed me." Another strike, then another, this time a closed fist. A cascade of stars explodes behind Darius's eyes. "Who are you collaborating with?" Darius expels blood onto the concrete, gazing upward with unyielding eyes. "I am simply a vendor who observed you assaulting a 71-year-old gentleman because he was $200 short." Voss ceases his circuitous movement. He scrutinizes Darius's countenance, searching for a sign of deception, a hint of falsehood. He finds none. Voss turns to Briggs. "What is your assessment?" Briggs shrugs his substantial shoulders. He might be truthful, a concerned citizen who has overextended himself. Some individuals are that naive. Alternatively, he could be something more. Voss kneels, bringing his eyes level with Darius's, close enough for Darius to discern the ruptured blood vessels in his irises. Herein lies my predicament. If you are merely a vendor playing the hero, I can make you vanish tonight with no repercussions. Another deceased black man in Texas. It happens with unfortunate regularity. No one investigates. However, if you are affiliated with a larger entity, the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Marshals, then orchestrating your disappearance creates more complications than it resolves. He paces for a moment, contemplating. Therefore, this is how events will unfold. You will depart Hartfield, never to return. Erase all that you have gathered. Pretend this city does not exist. He leans in close to Darius's ear. Alternatively, I will discover through strenuous means your true nature, and that exchange will be considerably less amicable than this one. Darius looks up, blood trickling down his chin, staining his shirt. And if I choose neither option? Voss smiles. Then we shall discover together. He gestures to Briggs and Holt. The assault lasts for 12 minutes. Ribs, kidneys, face. They exercise caution. Nothing lethal. Nothing that will inflict permanent damage. Merely sufficient pain to convey a message that will endure a lifetime. When it concludes, Darius can barely draw breath, can barely perceive, can barely form coherent thoughts. Voss stands over him. Depart this evening, or do not depart at all. A bag is placed over his head. The van is in motion, traversing a dirt road. They abandon him on the roadside beyond the city limits. They leave him in the dirt as if he were refuse. Darius lies there, gazing at the swirling constellations, attempting to recall how to breathe. He is alive, a fact he did not fully anticipate. Slowly, painfully, he reaches into his footwear. His auxiliary communication device is still present, concealed within a hidden compartment. They failed to locate it. With trembling, broken fingers, he composes a single message. Cover remains intact. Proceeding to phase 2. He dispatches it, then reclines once more in the dirt. The stars continue their celestial dance above. He survived the night, yet someone else will not make it through the weekend, and a faint, gray light filters through grimy panes. Darius should have departed. Voss instructed him to leave Hartfield and never reappear. Briggs and Holt ensured he understood the repercussions, yet Darius remains. He resides in a different apartment across town, his name absent from the mailbox, utilizing a disposable phone, operating on a cash-only basis. His ribs are tightly bound beneath his shirt. His face is a mosaic of purple and yellow contusions. Every breath is agonizing, every movement painful, existence itself a burden. Yet he persists because this situation is far from resolved. Meanwhile, on Main Street, Voss visits Rosa's taco stand. He is aware that she conversed with Clarence at the hospital. He knows she was cordial with the black vendor who vanished. He suspects she may possess knowledge. Where is he? Rosa, your friend with the hot dogs. Rosa keeps her gaze fixed on her tasks, her hands moving with practiced automaticity. I do not know, Sergeant. He left just as you instructed. Voss remains unconvinced. He leans in, his shadow engulfing her stand. If I discover you aided him, if I learn you know his whereabouts and withheld that information, I will not simply shut down your modest establishment. He pauses, allowing the silence to intensify. I will ensure your children never see you again. Your grandchildren will grow up questioning why their grandmother disappeared. Rosa's hand flies to her chest. Her heart pounds erratically. She can feel its frantic rhythm against her ribs. My heart, Sergeant, please. I have a medical condition. Voss straightens, his eyes devoid of any sympathy. Then you had best hope your heart can endure what transpires next if you are being untruthful with me. He departs without a backward glance. Rosa sinks heavily onto her stool, attempts to breathe, to calm her racing pulse. Her hands tremble uncontrollably. Her chest feels constricted, excessively so. She closes her stand early and returns home. That evening, she contacts her daughter in San Antonio. Mija, I simply wish to convey something. I love you. And your brothers and all the grandchildren. I want you to know that. Mama, what is amiss? Is everything all right? Everything is perfectly fine, mija. I simply wanted you to hear me say it. That is all. Rosa retires early. Her heart continues its frantic pace. It has not subsided since Voss's departure. The medication offers no relief. She dreams of her taco stand, of the sun on Main Street, of her children in their youth, of her husband who passed 15 years prior, of a particular corner in downtown Hartfield where she spent 11 years preparing sustenance for strangers who evolved into friends. At some point during the night, Rosa Delgado, age 62, passes away in her sleep. Cardiac arrest. Her heart ultimately succumbed. The cumulative effect of years of apprehension, the perpetual stress, Voss's threats, all culminated in one final, fatal beat. Her neighbor discovers her the following morning. The news permeates Main Street within hours. Rosa is gone. Jamal contacts Darius on the disposable phone. Rosa is deceased. Her heart, they are attributing it to natural causes. Darius disconnects, remaining in silent contemplation for an extended period. Natural causes. Rosa had a cardiac ailment. Everyone was aware of this, yet she did not perish from old age. She did not succumb to illness. She died because Voss terrorized her to the point where her heart could no longer withstand the strain. He extinguished her life without leaving a physical trace. Darius views photographs on his phone, Rosa offering him coffee on his inaugural day, Rosa laughing at his jests, Rosa cautioning him to exercise prudence. She was correct, and now she is gone. This was intended to be an investigation, a collection of evidence, a case file. Now it has become personal. Darius makes a single call, a number he has reserved for emergencies. The time has arrived. Phase 2, commencing tomorrow morning. You are aware of the location. Rosa Delgado is deceased, and the man responsible for her demise is utterly unaware of what awaits him. But Rosa did not survive the weekend. And everything you believe you comprehend about this narrative is about to undergo an irrevocable transformation. FBI Field Office, Houston, Texas. A man enters through security, black, late 30s, his face marked with fading bruises, moving with noticeable stiffness. Fractured ribs can indeed cause such an effect, yet he navigates this facility with an air of inherent authority. The security guard looks up, recognizes the individual, and nods in acknowledgement. "Good morning, Deputy." A challenging weekend, perhaps. He proceeds to the elevator, bound for the 4th floor. Conference Room C, secure line. Lieutenant Grant Whitmore is already in attendance. 15 years of service on the Federal Task Force, graying hair, a placid gaze that has witnessed countless events. The man bearing bruises takes a seat, reaches into his jacket, produces a badge, and places it on the table. Deputy U.S. Marshal Darius Holloway, Public Corruption Unit. 18 months, Darius states. We have finally amassed sufficient evidence. Whitmore leans forward. Provide me with the details. Voss has been orchestrating a protection racket in downtown Hartfield for a minimum of 3 years. At least 14 vendors, extorting between $300 and $500 monthly, accumulating over $50,000 annually outside of official channels. He slides a folder across the table. Bank records indicate Voss deposited between $50 and $300 in cash over an 18-month period. Small sums dispersed across different branches, a classic structuring methodology. Another folder follows. Cell tower data confirms his device was present at every collection point. Timestamp accuracy perfectly aligns with witness testimonies. Each collection occurred with clockwork precision. Body camera footage from 3 federal recording devices, including the one Darius wore concealed within his apron for 18 months. We have him on recording explicitly issuing demands, accepting currency, and threatening vendors. Whitmore peruses the evidence. His expression remains neutral and professional. And the assault upon yourself, the warehouse incident lasting 12 minutes. Darius touches his ribs. The auxiliary device concealed in my footwear. They failed to discover it. That constitutes an assault on a federal officer. Indeed, it does. Whitmore sets down the folders and looks directly at Darius. and Rosa Delgado. Darius's expression tightens. Deceased due to cardiac arrest. Voss threatened her the day prior, informing her that her children would never see her again. That is not technically homicide. No, but it is coercion contributing to a fatality, and it will be documented in the file. Silence envelops the room. Whitmore studies Darius for a significant duration. 18 months undercover, you endured a near-fatal assault, and an innocent woman perished. Yes. Was it worthwhile? Darius does not respond immediately. He contemplates Rosa's coffee, her laughter, her warning. Rosa Delgado was 62 years old, had worked on that corner for 11 years, and possessed 3 children and 4 grandchildren brave enough to stand firm when everyone else averted their gaze. He pauses. He, Voss, is responsible for her death, and he will be held accountable. Whitmore nods slowly. Then, let us bring this to a close. However, his demeanor shifts. A darker intonation enters his eyes. There is an issue. What issue? Voss was aware of your approach. Every time we initiated action, he preceded us. When we planned to engage Rosa as a witness, he arrived beforehand. When you arranged the meeting, he had a van positioned in readiness. A chilling sensation begins to form in Darius's stomach. Someone within our ranks has been divulging information to him. Whitmore nods grimly. We have a mole, and we must identify him before proceeding with our final action. Darius and Whitmore dedicate the subsequent hours to reviewing every detail, each operation, every security breach, every instance where Voss appeared to anticipate their moves. The pattern gradually emerges, akin to a photograph developing in solution, initially subtle, then overwhelmingly apparent. We finalized plans to approach Rosa as a cooperating witness. 48 hours later, Voss appeared at her stand with explicit threats. Whitmore nods. Who was privy to that plan? You, myself, the Assistant United States Attorney, and the Task Force surveillance team. We initiated financial monitoring of Voss's bank accounts. 3 days later, he shifted to cash deposits at branches located 40 miles outside his typical operational radius. The same individuals had access. The same individuals. The meeting that transpired into an ambush. Darius gazes at the board. Names, dates, connections, meticulously charted with red string, resembling a living conspiracy theory. Who authorized surveillance that night? Whitmore retrieves the operational logs and flips through the pages. One name surfaces with disturbing consistency across every critical surveillance shift, every compromised operation, every instance where Voss maintained a tactical advantage. Special Agent Victor Cole. 14 years with the FBI assigned to the Hartfield Task Force 6 months ago. An exemplary record, no disciplinary actions, no prior indicators, a flawless facade. Whitmore accesses Cole's financial records. $8,000 in unexplained cash deposits over 6 months, the same structuring pattern as Voss. Voss was not merely bribing vendors, Darius remarks quietly. He was bribing the individuals investigating him. Whitmore's face hardens. Cole has access to everything, every witness identity, every piece of evidence, every planned maneuver for the past 6 months. Does he know? We know. Darius stands and walks to the window. Houston sprawls below, a vast expanse of millions of lives. Then we leverage it. How? Feed Cole false information. Inform him that the investigation is concluding. Resources are being reallocated. Hartfield will be reassigned to another jurisdiction. Voss will hear this. He will relax. Voss will hear this. He will become careless, make errors. Darius turns from the window. And I will return to Main Street. Whitmore shakes his head. He will attempt to eliminate you this time. This time I will not be alone. FBI operatives in plain attire positioned at every intersection, a surveillance van, an arrest team on standby, and if Cole alerts him, then Cole will also be apprehended. Either way, this concludes. Whitmore remains silent for a prolonged interval. There is a time constraint. Rebecca Torres at the Tribune has been working on this for approximately 8 months. Once that story breaks, Voss will vanish. He has contingency plans. How much time? 48 hours, possibly less. Darius checks his watch. Then we proceed in 48 hours. He walks toward the door. Darius. He pauses. Whitmore's voice is quiet. Rosa died because someone in this building betrayed her. Do not forget that. I will not. And do not perish attempting to rectify it. Darius offers no response. He simply exits. The mole has a name. The mole has infiltrated us. The clock is ticking. And Voss has no inkling that the deceased black vendor is about to step back onto Main Street. Main Street. The sun hangs high in the sky. Sidewalks teem with the lunchtime throng. Vendors arrange their carts as on any ordinary day. However, nothing about this day is routine. FBI agents, disguised in civilian attire, are stationed at every corner. A woman consumes tacos near Rosa's former location. A man peruses a newspaper on a bench. A couple photographs architectural details they profess no genuine interest in. A surveillance van is positioned 2 blocks to the north, its windows tinted, its presence discreet. Unmarked vehicles containing arrest teams are stationed on adjacent streets. Engines are running, prepared for immediate action, and at the intersection of Main and 5th, a hot dog cart stands ready. The same cart, the same rising steam, the same aroma of grilled onions. The vendor looks up. It is Darius, the same apron. His face still bears bruises. He moves stiffly, but stands tall and alive. Present. The word spreads with remarkable rapidity. The vendors are the first to observe him. Jamal freezes mid-transaction, staring. The empanada vendor makes the sign of the cross. The black hot dog vendor has returned. The one Voss declared would vanish. The one everyone believed to be deceased. Voss receives word within the hour. His reaction is immediate and explosive. He drives to Main Street, parks his vehicle in a no-parking zone, in the identical spot he always occupies. He advances toward Darius's cart, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Darius observes his approach, his hands resting on the cart, steady. Voss halts 3 feet away, close enough to detect the palpable aura of his fury. You should be deceased or departed. Why are you here? Darius's voice is calm. I am here because Rosa Delgado cannot be. A flicker of something crosses Voss's face. The elderly woman suffered a heart attack. It had nothing to do with me. You terrorized her until her heart gave out. You threatened her children. You killed her without leaving a mark. Voss takes a step closer. His hand drifts toward his sidearm. You have 3 seconds to get into your vehicle and drive away, or the warehouse will seem like a pleasant memory. Darius remains motionless. Or what? You will assault me again? As you did Clarence Whitaker? As you threatened Rosa? As you have been doing to every vendor on this street for 3 years? Voss's fingers tighten around his firearm. Final opportunity, boy. Darius meets his gaze. Sergeant Harlan Voss, you're under arrest for extortion, conspiracy, and assault on a federal officer. You have the right to remain silent. Voss laughs, a harsh, disbelieving sound. You are a hot dog vendor. You cannot arrest anyone. Darius reaches into his apron and withdraws a badge, holding it aloft where the sunlight glints off the metal. Deputy U.S. Marshal, I've been recording you for 18 months. The color drains from Voss's face. The realization strikes him with the force of a physical blow. Everything, every transaction, every threat, every demand has been recorded. No, that is impossible. It is very possible, and it is over. Voss's hand tightens on his weapon. If I am going down, you are coming with me. I would advise against that. Voss glances around. For the first time, he truly perceives the agents, the surveillance positions, the trap that has been steadily closing for 18 months. Briggs and Holt are already face down on the pavement 50 feet away, handcuffed, surrounded by agents. Nowhere to run, nowhere to conceal himself. Voss draws his weapon regardless. Darius is quicker. 2 shots crack through the summer air, neither originating from Voss's firearm. Voss hits the pavement with a resounding thud. His weapon skids across the concrete. Agents swarm from every direction. They handcuff him, face down on Main Street, the very street he commanded for years. the same street where he assaulted an elderly man for being $200 short. "You are dead." Voss spits onto the concrete. "You are all dead. You have no idea who I know." Darius stands over him. Rosa Delgado was 62 years old, 11 years on that corner. She had 3 offspring and 4 grandkids, bold enough to offer me a hot beverage on my inaugural shift. He bends in close. "And you ended her life." Voss was escorted into a government vehicle. Darius observed its departure until the car rounded the bend and vanished from sight. Then his gaze fell upon Rosa's deserted cart. The very spot where she had spent 11 years. The place where she had cautioned him to proceed with vigilance. The spot where she had presented him with coffee without the need for any prior inquiry. The cart now stood in shadow. No one would occupy that space today. Finally, justice had been served. Yet it arrived far too late for her. The grand jury returned an indictment. The United States of America versus Harlan R. Voss. The case designation is 40024CR0000892. The accusations encompass 3 counts of extortion under the Hobbs Act, 1 count of conspiracy, and 1 count of assaulting a federal agent. The maximum penalty for these offenses is 45 years of incarceration. His accomplices include Officers Dwayne Briggs, Kyle Holt, Special Agent Victor Cole, and Deputy Chief Leland Vance, all of whom have been suspended pending further inquiry. Inspector Gerald Nolan has been apprehended on state-level charges. Through his legal representative, Voss asserts his complete innocence. These allegations, he contends, represent an unwarranted intrusion by federal authorities, unjustly targeting dedicated public servants. The union unequivocally supports him. This is their customary stance. Rebecca Torres' investigative report achieved national prominence. 18 months of sheer terror inflicted upon the residents of Main Street. Within its first week, the article garnered 2 million readers. The City Council has announced an impartial examination of the Downtown Patrol Division. Specialized task forces have been established. Promises of reform have been issued. Whether these commitments will translate into tangible action remains to be determined. Clarence Whitaker has been discharged from the hospital following a period of recuperation. He has resumed his duties with his pretzel cart. He moves with less agility now. His hands exhibit a greater degree of tremor than previously. Nonetheless, he is present each and every morning. He has occupied that same corner for 34 years. Jamal Reeves is in the process of rebuilding his livelihood. A brand new cart, a generous donation from the collective vendor community, has been procured. He is expected to be back in operation very shortly. Rosa's surviving family organized a commemorative ceremony at the location of her taco cart. Bouquets of flowers adorned the area for many weeks. Her 3 children shared heartfelt recollections of their mother. Her 4 grandchildren laid roses upon the very ground where she had stood for 11 years. Darius was in attendance, remaining at the rear of the gathering. He offered no spoken words. Later, in solitude, he visited her final resting place. "I should have acted with greater haste," he lamented. "Rosa ought to have brought it to a conclusion before he could reach you." He placed a single pure white bloom upon the headstone. He stood in quiet contemplation as the sun dipped below the horizon. Back within the marshal's office, 2 photographs are prominently displayed on his wall. One depicts his brother, Kendrick Holloway, who tragically lost his life at the hands of law enforcement some years prior. The other is a portrait of Rosa Delgado. Whitmore paused beside his desk. "You gave it your all." Darius's gaze remained fixed on the photographs. "I performed precisely as I was instructed." "That is not the same thing." "And the badge does not render you immune to consequence, does it?" "It demands accountability. However, accountability invariably carries a price, and at times the individuals who bear that burden are not the ones truly deserving of it." If this narrative has underscored for you the profound importance of justice and the inherent cost associated with its pursuit, consider sharing it with someone who would benefit from its message. Subscribe for additional accounts where the unvarnished truth emerges even when it causes pain.
In the end, the true self comes out.